Okay, hello students. I'm soft skills trainer from Department of Career Planning and Development, Chandigarh University. So today we'll discuss a general question that is asked in the interviews, and the question is: tell us about two situations or one situation wherein your leadership qualities emerged. So this question is actually about if you say in your resume, if you write in your resume that you are a good leader, or if in the job description company mentions that they want a candidate having leadership skills. So this is the one question that will be asked to you in the interview. Okay, another thing is, again, if you're not prepared for this particular type of question in the interview, you might end up giving a very generic answers. Chances are that you might forget to give or mention a strong example that would have helped you to get the job. So preparation is must for this particular type of question, as this question gives hiring manager a chance to evaluate the authenticity of your claim that you have leadership capabilities, or to gauge whether you're a potential leader or not. So before we start framing this answer, let us look at some aspect of this particular question. Now, before even starting to talk about this particular question, we need to understand what leadership skills are. So, well, in basic dictionary sense, leadership just means leading a group of people or an organization. However, most people see true leadership as something that goes beyond managing people and projects. So, here are some competencies typically considered as leadership skills. They are like taking initiative, communicating a vision, translating vision into reality, inspiring others, making tough decisions, motivating others, empowering others, and developing others. So these are some of the competencies that are generally regarded as leadership skills. So I've given you the basic dictionary sense, and I also given you the key competencies wherein people actually judge your leadership abilities or your skills. So also you need to understand that this question is one of the behavioral interview question that are asked by the recruiter. So there are different sets of type of questions, I would say, like resume based question, HR based question, and behavioral based question, and tough interview question. So this particular question comes under behavioral interview question. So these questions generally ask for examples of how a candidate has demonstrated specific competencies in the past. So for example, if you say that you are a good leader, so the recruiter will ask for an example. Okay, just can you elaborate on that? Can you give me an example regarding that? So basically these type of questions usually begins with tell me about a time, or give me an example of. So that's the one thing that you need to consider. It's a behavioral interview question where you will be asked if you have mentioned any skill, or if you have mentioned any competency. So you will be asked to show an example, to give an example where actually you have demonstrated that skill or ability that you are actually claiming to have. So the idea is that understanding past performance is the best way to predict your future performance. So this is the underlining ideas regarding this particular question, that they want to understand, okay, if you've done something in past, so that they can predict your future performance on the basis of that. That's why proper framing of this question becomes really important. Okay, again, we have different things that we need to consider while framing this question and while giving answer to this particular question. So the thing is, number one is that you need to choose a strong example. For let's say if I ask this particular question, okay, tell me something, give me an example where your leadership quality emerged, or two example, or three if I tend to be very tough with you. So you need to choose a really strong example. You need not to end up giving a very weak example. So select an example that really shows off your leadership skills. Don't settle for a weak example. And again, customize the example if you can. Review the job description carefully and identify the type of leadership skill required for the role. Often, the desired leadership capabilities are spelled right out in the job description. One position may require managing a large team, and another may be looking for someone who can take initiative. So the thing about choosing strong example is to understand the role that the company will be giving to you, the company has laid out. So according to that, you have to customize your example, and according to that, somehow you need to show that you are the best fit for that particular job. Now, the second thing regarding this is that you need to be specific whenever answering such questions. So the thing is, the best example actually involve enough detail, not excessive detail, but enough detail to be believable and memorable. For example, if someone asks you regarding an example and you start off with all the different stories, whether they are connected with the answer or not, so please stop there and then, and don't even try to give that particular answer. So you need to be really specific when you are framing such answers, because we want enough detail that is required for the answer. So you need to show how you are a leader. For example, again, if you are giving an example, so you need to show how you are a leader in the situation and how it represents your overall leadership experience or your potential. At the same time, you must make an effort to keep the example concise. At times it can be tempting to go off the topic, particularly if you're not prepared in advance. So if the question is asked to you and you're not prepared, chances are that you'll go off the topic, and this is the one thing that we need to avoid. We want to stick to the topic. We don't want to go, we don't go out and end up giving irrelevant answer, because irrelevance is the thing that recruiter or managers hates the most. This is one single point that they start to get irritated. So please don't be irrelevant. You going out of the topic is you being irrelevant. So the third thing is, if you framed your answer really well, and if you chosen the strong example that you can think of, then please practice it again and again and again. Now, practice here, I mean that you need not to cram your answer word by word. You don't have to cram your script word by word. Please don't do that. Just cover all the basic points that needs your attention. For example, if you're giving talking about a situation, you need to cover different aspect. Okay, what led to the situation, how you were in that particular situation, and then how you actually behaved in that particular situation, what all things you did, what all steps you took for that particular situation, and what was the outcome, what was the end result of your steps. So these are the three things or three bullet points that you can make up in your head and then start answering this particular question. Okay, so what not to be said for this particular question is, don't try to answer like, I consider myself a born leader and I've always sought out leadership opportunities over the year. Now it's boring and it doesn't answer the question. Okay, so don't this particular answer is actually seems like you are boasting about yourself and also you are kind of overconfident. Okay, don't do that again. Second thing is, avoid examples that could raise red flags. For example, don't talk about leading a project that was an utter failure due to your own mistakes. Don't do that. For example, if you're giving an talking about a situation, you were trying and because these things actually happens when you are not prepared. So when you are not prepared, you are actually being asked a question and you cannot think of, and the first thing that you can think of was a failure. So you started off answering a question, but when you are actually answering this question, you realize that okay, that particular project actually failed, and by the time you try and change your answer, the recruiter will know, okay, you are changing your answer because something had gone wrong with that particular situation. So please don't do that. That's why we say that you need to prepare your answers. And again, don't try to remember your answer script by word by word. The idea is to actually create a framework. You need to create a framework that ensures you cover the most important and impressive aspect of the experience. Okay, so I hope you understood what needs to be said for this particular question and what needs to be avoided. So again, with your experience, for example, if you are not we don't have any job experience, you are a fresh graduate, so what can you do? Now the question is, so for a fresh graduate, what can how to answer this particular question? I would say that in your 3-year course or 4-year course or 5-year course, you must have or done some projects, worked on some various internships, worked in on some various internships, and also must have organized some these fests or any sorts of events in the college, so you can use them as your answer, as a baseline for your answer. For example, if you have done a really good project and you led the team, please It can be an example for your leadership skill. If you have organized some fest, again it can be used. If you have done something good in during your internship, or if you handle some position during your internship, again it can be used as an example of your leadership capability. Okay, so let's answer this particular question. I prepared a sample answer for you. So this is the answer. So it starts with this way. I try to step up as a leader whenever possible because it allows me to develop skills like communication and managing multiple tasks and deadlines. When I was in third year of engineering, our class was divided into teams for a project. I, along with my team members, prioritized our work, planned our work. I made a WhatsApp group and delegated responsibilities to my team members, and I assumed the task of researching and designing the workable model of the project, and also to coordinate among team members for faster completion of the project. The result was we completed the project on time and our team was awarded with the highest marks. Second example was related to our college fest. Our college organizes annual fest, and this time I was responsible for managing all the technical stalls and assist them if they face any problem with my team members. I coordinated with all the stall in charges and created a WhatsApp group. I allocated different stalls to my team members and I handled the stall which could attract the maximum visitors. My team and I worked tirelessly for 5 days to ensure smooth functioning of all the technical stalls, and in the end my team was appreciated by the organizing committee. So this is one such question. Again, you have to cover various aspects of the examples. You cannot cram this whole thing. For example, if you have prepared an sample answer, you cannot actually cram that whole thing. It will be very difficult for you, because the moment you forget one or two words, you'll not be able to move forward with your answer. So I would suggest you to create a framework, to create some bullet points in your head and try to cover different aspects. So okay, that's all for today. Thank you.